So welcome to SAP ABAP Core Data Services tutorial. In this video, this will be one single video where we'll explore every aspect of SAP ABAP CDS and we'll be building multiple CDS views. So before we start with ABAP Core Data Services, the viewer should be having a basic idea of SAP ABAP, the basic data elements, domains, table creation, and even SAP ABAP views creation. So that will something help you to actually understand the aspects why the CDS views were introduced and what exactly they are doing to replace the old views and how they can be used to build core data services and later used in SAP UI5 applications. So there are multiple aspects of SAP development and core data services are one part of it. So that's why I mentioned that the viewers should have understanding of the basic idea of SAP. So before we actually start with SAP ABAP CDS, we need to do some installations and all. So there is a tutorial by SAP. This is an official tutorial and everyone should follow this one only. So basically they have mentioned a few steps. So I can just brief you out. So we need to install Eclipse. We can install Eclipse in our laptop also, or if you have a SAP system already in place, that's the best thing. Because ultimately you need to connect with SAP system if you are planning to develop on-premise CDS views. So I will give you an idea of on-premise and on-cloud views. But basically we install Eclipse. Eclipse is a editor and that's a software and you can install it online. And once it is done, then we go into it and install other extensions of SAP. So if you see, it says add ADD plugins to Eclipse, right? So basically they provide this particular link via which we can download the libraries related to SAP. So if I go into the system, so this is Eclipse and it is already in place. So if you see, we have something called help and we have an option to install new software, right? And here just you need to paste the link, whatever link that SAP provides. And you see now we have something called SAP ABAP development tools here, right? I've already installed it out. So if you see all items are installed already. So if it is not installed, we have to just select all and install it out. Once we do that, once installation completes, the thing that we do here is we click on open perspective and switch to ABAP. It is already switched to ABAP. So this is something we do. So this is the second thing. And third thing that we do is like we need to connect it out. Suppose you do not have SAP backend. So I have SAP backend already in place. And if you don't have SAP backend, what you do is like you can connect with SAP Cloud. So you go and you start building your profile on SAP business development tools. So let me open it up for you. Business technology platform, whatever it is, BTP system. And if you go here, you can please type to login. Yeah. And you can create an account over here. And once the account is created, you can connect the same to Eclipse. So this is one way of connecting and starting, working on SAP ABAP CDS. But ultimately, it is called SAP HANA CDS once you connect with BTP. And in case you are connecting to backend, it is called SAP ABAP CDS. So for connection of the same, you go on project or click on new and click on ABAP project. And here you'll find all the systems that are connected with your SAP GUI, right? The SAP logon. So here, if you see, I do have only one particular system. Same system is visible over here. So the same you will see, you will click on next. I've already have, so I will not go inside it and start adding. Otherwise, it will add a duplicate one here. And here you can provide a password and all, and then that particular SAP ABAP GUI perspective will be added here. So now you can explore all the local objects, whatever development you're going to do will be adding over here only. So this is the installation part that you do. Okay. So I will close this particular part. So now we'll jump back to the course. So we have done the installation. Now we'll see what exactly is SAP ABAP CDS. So as I mentioned, we need to have a basic understanding of SAP ABAP. So when SAP started its development of software, so it came with multiple versions, right? So the very old one were where we were writing very basic code. We are writing everything like even designing tables and all were done manually. And then they came with SE 11 where they were developing everything using their predefined GUI. You need to follow some predefined steps and you can create a domain. On top of it, you can create a data element, and on top of it, you can create SAP tables, right? So this much you might be already aware of that you can create SAP tables. Then there came the need for SAP views. So the idea is like if you have, if you can say that you have multiple tables for employees and you want to see all data all together, like suppose there's a table for SAP employee basic information having name, employee ID, and gender and all. Then you have a table for their address. So again, employee ID and then location, city, pin code, state, country, something like that. And then you have one more table of their salary where you have employee ID, then month, year, salary, taxes, those things. So now we have three different tables. And if you have to fetch data for one employee from these three tables, what we can do is like we can write select query in table 1, table 2, table 3, right? And fetch all information and then combine it out and showcase to user. To replace this particular part, SAP came with SAP Views, where you actually go in SE11. I will show you also where we can see these things. So if I go to SE11, you see view, right? And if I try here to create SAP, I see something, someone has created FI student view. Let me see that, not exist. So let me just write G test view. Hope it will create now. Yeah. So you see we have an option to add tables. Then for each tables, the field name will start appearing over here. And we can write the mapping condition like for table 1 also, table 2 also, and table 3 also. For each of them, the common field will be employee ID. So employee ID will be equal to each other. So that thing we can maintain over here. And now we can create a view. So what it will be doing, it will be writing a join condition and creating a combination of the data. So once these things are done, you can get a view and the view will be creating a copy of your data. So once you write a join condition, a copy of your data is created in form of view so that you don't have to fetch every time from each of them. You can directly fetch from here. So this is what SAP views were meant to be. And this is something very good. It works perfectly. So then they came with an idea of SAP OData where or before that also a lot of things came into picture, but we'll focus on SAP OData, which is still existing, and via which you can connect your SAP database or SAP views to your network gateway. You can create in the end an API, and that API can be used or consumed by UI front-end applications called SAP UI 5 or SAP Fury. So you have a database, you have an API to view data from the database, and you have a front-end application. Again, the connection is straightforward, simple, working fine. The next thing that came into like a picture is like the SAP views were still like creating a lot of data copies. First of all, second of all, they were trying to replace the front end code with backend. So they do not want it, a lot of code to be there in front end. So they wanted some ways to do some configuration that entire look of UI can be controlled from backend. So in OData itself, there was a concept of SAP OData annotations. So there you can write a lot of configurations like what will be the table header name that will appear in the UI and the order in which the fields of the table or the columns will appear in the UI. So a lot of things came with annotations and they started adding those annotations also in the OData. So this also are working fine. Then in 2009, something called HANA happened, right? So before HANA, it was like SAP was using their own database also were there, and also they had something called Oracle database. So Oracle is a company, and they were using the database of Oracle, and then they came with the idea of HANA. Now HANA and the old Oracle database were very different. Oracle database was like R3 structure, which means there will be three layers. So if I just show you also, let me show you that. If I just SAP R by 3 architecture, if I show you here, and I will just find a image. So this will make you understand. So if you see, we have something called database, right? That is the Oracle database. And then we have the application layer. You can say the O data where we are writing the code, right? And which it was having communication with the database. And these application layers were producing APIs that were being used by SAP GUI, or you can say that SAP UI5 applications. This is RY3 structure. With HANA, the push down code push down concept came into picture. So with HANA, the idea of code push down came into picture. So what is code push down? So if you see what type of code we can write. So if I do not do code push down, I can write each and every calculation in presentation layer. So in SAP UI5, I can write everything. I will fetch all the data of employees from three different APIs. I can write the combination, everything, right? So that will be the first layer where we'll writing all the code. But that's not something we do, right? So second layer will be to write all the code in the application layer, the calculations, the combinations, and everything. So this is something we were already doing in R by 3 structure. Then the code push down came into picture where even those things were writing directly in the database. So how that will be possible? So it's like SAP HANA. If we just go into the HANA database, how exactly it is and how it performs. So just like any other hardware, it is having hard disk, it is having RAM. And if I see this is a laptop where I'm creating this video, this is also having the same configuration, hard disk and RAM. And within the RAM, all the applications run, right? So if I just press Control Shift Escape, you will see a lot of applications running, right? These applications are running using CPU, right? CPU is and then you see memory and disk. So if you just focus on this disk and memory, this is RAM and this is the hard disk. So basically on runtime, things run on RAM. So they came with an idea like, what if we put the database layer is also having a RAM? So if we put RAM there, we can write code over there, right? And we can run the code there. So in in a long perspective, again they are having RY3 structure only, but at database layer. So wherever the database is there, they are also having the RAM. So they are also having the calculations. The code itself is written here. So directly from this particular database layer, we can jump or over jump this application layer and connect to UI. There will be no requirement of application layer. So OData API will be created, but not using the OData interface. So we'll not be writing a code in SAP OData. Directly from the database, you will be connecting or exporting your data to APIs that will be connecting to UI file. So this is something called code push down, where we are pushing the code from the upper layer to lower layer. So you got the idea, right? So if I go back to the again the concept of SAP ABAP CDS. So ABAP CDS, like the core data services, is a way of writing views in SAP S4 HANA, because this can be done only in S4 HANA. And all the concepts of annotations of OData will be put here. All the concepts of joining out and SAP ABAP views will be coming here. So all those concepts came into picture at one single place. And this gives us capability to export our views directly in form of OData APIs. So this is something you can read the definition, you can understand. I will share this document also with you. And to give you an idea of the architecture, if you see, these are the Fury application I mentioned, right? And then we have something called SAP Gateway, that is OData APIs. And then directly, if you see, we have this S4 HANA database views over here, and we are adding even the logics over here. So the entire thing can be mentioned in S4 HANA. In case you don't need extra logics, you can directly consume the CDS views in the OData or UI5 gateways. And in case you still need to have some more complex logics on top of CDS, you can fetch the CDS and write your logics over there. And also, SAP's ABAP CDS provides extra capabilities to write your code within the S4 HANA environment. So that also something we will discuss later. So now the purpose and benefits, I believe, is almost clear, but you can still go and read it out. So it's like in SAP, most of the things are created for reusability, right? If we are creating something as 11, that's for reusability. If we are writing methods in classes, that is for reusability. If you are writing creating an FM function module, then that's also for reusability. Then the same way, CDS also provides a lot of reusability. So for that, we break the CDS also in different parts, not writing a single CDS view to write every logic. So we break it out and reuse as per requirement. Fine. So key features of ABAP CDS. So if I just start reading it out, declarative language. So it is just like SQL. That's the idea. Second thing is annotation. As I mentioned, annotations, good annotations came into picture where you can write some extra things or extra parameters apart from the core parameters. Like if a data is there, employee ID is there. So it can be having a name that has to be shown in the UI as employee ID, but in the backend it can be EP ID. So like that, you can add the information, extra informations. And then you have concept of joins and associations, something we'll explore later on, but basically joins and association do the same thing. They combine data, that's it. The approach is different, and thus the benefits are different. Then we have something called aggregation functions. It means there are predefined functions that you can write, like getting the count of a particular database. You don't have to write any other logic. Then doing sum and average of something. Suppose average of my salary for last 12 months. So those things you can directly perform over here. So the CDS will be defined in that way. Then something called extensibility is there. So by default, SAP provides a lot of views, standard views. Those views can be extended. And that's a functionality provided by default by SAP. And then the last one is database independence. So that's mean like it's not there is a limitation now. So now SAP has opened up the CDS views where it can use external databases also. So now we'll go to this architecture once again. So the architecture that we have seen earlier and the architecture that we'll see now is almost very similar. So if you see Fury is there, then we have OData there, the backend is there where you write the code, and then we have HANA database where you have the CDS views also deployed over here. Fine, and this is something the division of R3 layers. So if I go and see types of CDS views. So if you remember, I mentioned that CDS views are also of different types. The concept of having different types came because we want to reuse it, right? So if you see the first layer here is database tables. So database tables are the tables that you create in SE11. You can create database tables here also, but it's fine. You go and create in SE11. That is the standard procedure we follow. And then on top of it, you create something called basic interface views. And in real world environment, we say just basic views. So basic views are the views we create on top of tables. We do not use tables directly into the main views, the consumption views. We need to have a basic view on top of each table. And those views only we consume in other CDS views. So I'm pretty sure that you're clear with basic views. Basic views is like copy of table with basic information. That's it. Exact copy of table. So all the fields of table will be also available in the basic views. But people might tend to remove a few fields, but it's fine. Then we have something called composite interface views. Many people call it just composite views. Many people call it just interface views. So it is like combination of multiple views. So this is the place where I will combine the employee basic table CDS view, then employee address CDS views, and the employee salary CDS views. All these three views I'll be combining over here. That's the idea. And again, it can also be a combination of other interface views. So suppose I have a CDS views of combination of CDS views of departments, right? So where I have multiple departments, each are having their own tables and own CDS views, basic CDS views, and on top of it, I have created interface view, and I want to use that interface view inside my employees to just get the department details. So that is also so possible. That is also being done here. So interface views are a combination of basic views and other interface views. Now the last one is consumption views. The consumption views is like the one that you actually consume. So we keep only one consumption views per application. So it gives a clarity also, like okay, what exact fields will be visible on the UI, what exact annotations will be visible on UI, what exact calculations, or so because if I have tons of views and I'm sending all via APIs to the UI, what will happen is like I will have to have multiple security rules come into picture. So if one consumption view is there, then you have clarity in mind. Okay, one view is there. I have one security view over top of it, or the authorization views, and one annotation views. That's it. Nothing else. And below it, we can have multiple interface views and basic views. Now, the naming convention is fixed for consumption view. It starts with C. For composite view, it starts with I. For basic views, it depends on the company. Many companies use something starts with P, some starts with B. So it depends. But in standard way, you can use again I view here also. So you got the ideas, right? So now this is the syntax of basic view. So if you see, we mentioned like basic view is like whatever field name is there in table. Suppose this is the part where CDS views start. So it is selects data from the table, right? And it selects all the field names. That's it. Nothing else is written. And here one line of annotation is written, and that is also the CDS, the SQL view name. So whenever we create a CDS view, there are there is one annotation that we have to do. We have to provide, that is SQL view name. And this SQL view name is something, a copy or replica of your CDS view in form of SAP ABAP CDS. It means if you want to even access this CDS view in your SAP ABAP SE11, right? There you can enter this zcust view and it will be working fine, simply like a view, so that you can use it in SAP applications also, like calling it out in your SAP ABAP report and all. So again, it gives you like reusability, right? You can use it in your core SAP requirement, or you can use it in the HANA requirement. So that's something we have defined over here also. And then we have mentioned the common annotations. Then like it's like we have something called a ABAP catalog that we have used, where we define core parameters like technical parameters, the view name, the type of filters and all being used. Then we have something called end user text. It means if this particular CDS view is being run, what will be the heading or the end user text? And that will be something we are going to define using end user text label. And the third one is OData. As I mentioned, we can publish our CDS views directly in form of OData APIs, right? And for that, we do OData.publish is equal to true. So these are three annotations. Annotations you can understand is like extending your CDS views apart from field names. You are adding some configurations. Those are the annotations. So after these many theoretical understanding, I guess we can jump inside and start creating our CDS views. So before I start, I will need to have a table. Let me cancel this out. Yes. So I will see if EMP basic. So first thing I will do is create a table. Employee basic details. Employee ID. Employee, put an score over here. Employee name. Employee gender. Employee email. Employee phone. Make it a key. Data element is something I'm not planning to use, but the right way is to use a data element, and I will make it char 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. Let me see. Okay, I will have to provide here 20. Fine. And the package will be your local package. It's called $TMP temporary package. And I will go to technical settings. I will choose data class as APPL0, size category lowest possible, and buffering and all. I don't focus now as a, so I will save it out. I will activate it out. Fine. And I will start maintaining some data also. So we'll create entry. Employee name is Rudra, mail, Rudra at roodlabs.in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Save it out to Deepak. Employee 3, Saqib. And now if I try to view data to see the content, three data is maintained, right? So we have three different set of data maintained already in the table. So now, so I will search for data definition. If you see ABAP within Core Data Services, we have data definition. Package is $TMP. I believe it will take. So suppose this is the first thing we are doing, right? So you can write I underscore or B underscore, whatever you think is fine. So just for clarity here, and since we are creating something inside a customer environment, so it's Z that will start with basic view, and it will be called EMP basic, and employee basic view. We do not have a TR, and we'll be defining a very basic view. I mean, so if you see, we have a few things already in picture. The annotations, something that starts with this sign is annotation, right? And we have different categories of annotations. So the one I mentioned, the end user text label, where we can see whatever description we have provided. Authorization check as of now is not required, we have not added, but we'll see that also in future. And here we select a database. So we have this database, right? So this is the one. Z Rudra AMP basic. And now we need to add all the fields, right? So I can press Control space and it will start giving me some help. And I will click on Insert All Elements. Employee ID. See? Employee name. So we can give a description over here also. Employee gender, employee email, and employee phone. And this is a good practice. Reason being, see if someone will come into a CDS view, they do not have to go into table again, right? Otherwise, what the benefit of having a CDS view? They will have to go to table and see, okay, what all is there. Field is this particular field is what is the use of this field. So to keep the clarity, we provide a descriptive name to every field, and we just click on activate. Once it is activated, we just click on play, run as ABAP application. So now you see we have created a basic view where we are fetching all the data from the CDS, from the table. And this CDS view can be used further for further applications.